Hi card making friends, it's Sandi here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a step-by-step snowman gift tags for you. I'm doing them in 3 stages, a simple, a stepped up, and a shaker style. Products we're going to be using are from the Simon Says Stamp DieCember. We're going to start with the layered scallop tags. There's 3 different tags in here, 3 different sizes, and they have a beautiful scalloped and stitched edge. Then the Snuggled snowman die, and he is adorable and he's quick and easy to put together. I'm going to use the So Much Fun pattern paper from Doodlebug Designs. This pattern paper is great for a couple things. It gives you some ideas for design layout, it gives you some color choices, and it makes making these tags super quick and easy and really cute as well. Cardstock we're using today from Spellbinders Cosmic Sky and from Simon Says Stamps White, Green Apple, Lavender, Seafoam, Audrey Blue. Okay, I've pre-cut everything just to save some time for this video, but I will walk you through what I did cut. So the first one is going to be our super simple one. I'm just showing you that I'm using craft stacks. I love these things because they stack and you can put all your pre-cuts in there, and then I bring them over to my video table to share with you. So I have the snowman all cut out, and I'm just sorting out his little pieces here, and then I also have the tag cut out. So we're starting with the tag. We have the largest of the 2. I did the tag in a light blue, and then I used the pattern paper for the second tag. And for the snowman, obviously the white for the big part and the piece that goes in behind him so that you can inlay his nose and eyes. For his scarf, there are 2 pieces. Let me just zoom in here a little bit for you. And then for his hat, there's 3 pieces. And so to do the different colors and pieces for your hats, you are going to have to cut this 3 times, which can be annoying, but Simon Says Stamps does this on purpose. It saves money on the die sets, so they're not as expensive, which means you and I can buy more die sets. Okay, so putting this little guy together, I started by adding a little bit of dew ink to the bottom of him, just kind of to highlight the edge a little bit and add a little color to the white. And then next we're going to start gluing the pieces together, and I'm just going to stick my Tim Holtz mat under here so that all the sticky stuff stays on there. I like these things. I'll link to it in the supply list underneath this video in the comments section. Okay, so I am starting with white glue. I'm going to add it to the back of the designer paper that I have chosen, and we're going to attach that to the Audrey Blue large tag. Just make sure that it's nicely centered, and that's why I'm using white glue. It does give me a couple of seconds to kind of manipulate that around and get it flat. This little piece here goes back behind his little head. So you just want to put glue on the outside edge and then line it up. And then we're going to add his little nose and his little eyes. Okay, and we're going to inlay them. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue and then pick it up, pop it in there. Simon's Place and Score embellishment wand is really, really good for picking up these little pieces. That little wax tip picks them up, then you pop them in, and then you can use the other side to get them right where you want them. Okay, so next we're going to add his arms, and obviously there's 2 of them. You're going to put a little dab of glue at the top, and then what I do is just lay the snowman body over top. Repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, next is his little scarf. We're going to do the neck portion first. Again, adding a little bit of glue to the back. And I like to use my reverse tweezers to hold on to all these things. It kind of stops me from getting glue all over my fingers. Okay, and this is the second little piece. And you could use the diagram, obviously, on the front of the die package for placement. And I like to pop it up just a little bit so that it looks like it's actually folded over. And we need to put his hat together. My back didn't get exactly where I wanted it, so I'm just going to do a little bit of fussy trim in there. Okay, then we're going to get the 3 pieces for his hat. So the top is the little white piece, and I'm going to add just a little dab of glue along the bottom of that. And then I cut the middle piece out of pattern paper, the same as the scarf. Okay, so that's the main part of his hat. And then the brim is going to be in the green. I like that turquoise and green combination. Okay, so then you're going to flip that whole thing over, put a little bit of glue on the bottom, and you're going to attach it to his head. Trying to get him on there straight. Okay, and then I have this little snowflake, and I got this from the Splendid Snowflakes die set, and I'm just popping out the center pieces, and I'm going to cut one of the arms off so it looks like it's underneath his little scarf. I'm just lining that up to see if I've got it cut well enough, and I need another little snip. There we go. And then I'm just going to glue him on the front of his little tubby. I thought this added a little bit of contrast and a little bit more color to him. Okay, and you want to try and get a little dab of glue on the end of each one of the arms of the snowflakes. And then we're going to add some foam squares to the back of him, and we're going to pop him up on the tag. But first, I'm going to add a pom-pom to the top of his hat. I'm using the Positively Perfect Craft Glue from Simon Says Stamps to do this, and you may notice I'm using a small bottle. I bought quite a few of these small bottles. They're great for traveling, but I also like how easy they are to squeeze. So if you have a little bit of arthritis, they're super handy. They work really, really well, and they're easy to use. And as Tim Holtz pointed out in one of his recent videos, they also dry matte. So if you happen to get a little bit of the glue on your cardstock or something, it's not going to look shiny when it dries, which is a bonus. Okay, so I have cut some of my foam squares in half just so that they fit into the smaller spots on the back of my little snowman. And I'm just adding a bunch to him. And we are going to attach them to the center front of the card. I'm going to do all three of the tags, and then we'll add some sentiments at the end. Just find it easier that way. I like to bulk produce things. And we have this little tab, and again, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back of it, and it's going to get popped onto the top. Just like that. Okay, so that's the basics of how you put this together. What I'm going to do is two stepped up versions, but now that I have shown you the tag and the snowman, then I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to spend more time on how to put together the tags. Okay, I did add one more piece of paper. I wanted some green checker, and I found it in the Be Happy package from Doodlebug Designs. So I've added that to what I'm working with today. The reason I'm telling you that is I'm making 3 snowmans for the next tag. Okay, tag number 2 is my stepped up tag, and I added the little tab at the top in a different place this time, both glued together. Punch the hole into the tag before you add that third piece, otherwise trying to poke a hole in 3 pieces of cardstock is difficult. I did 3 snowmen, and what I did was I used the pattern paper, the green that I just showed you, and then 2 blues from the Snow Much Fun kit. And that was to create their hats and their little scarves. I did the same blue ink blending on the bottom of them, and now I'm just going to add them all to this tag. Starting with the little purple dude, I'm going to add him on a little bit of an angle at the top of the tag. Next I have the little green guy, again with some foam squares on the back, angled to the left and midway down, and I'm going to put the blue guy at the bottom. The reason for that is I have blue at the top of the tag, and I want to anchor the tag by adding some more blue to the bottom, just so that your eye doesn't go to one place with the darker color. So again, adding little half pieces of foam squares to the back just to pop it up and give it a little bit more detail. And there we go. Got cute little guys, got a matching blue, we got pom-poms, and I'm thinking about decorating the back of this with a few snowflakes, but still leaving enough room for the to and from. Okay, tag number 3 is the shaker, and you're only going to make this for people that you really, really like, because it's a little bit time consuming, but I love shaker cards and shaker tags, so it's super cool. What I did was I cut 2 large of tags, and one is in purple, one's in pattern paper. So that's going to be the base of my background that you're going to be able to see. Oops, my glue is all plugged up. I'm going to have to squeeze it and get it going again. Okay, so once again, attach your tags together. This time we're using 2 of the large ones, not the second size. And then what I've done from there is I have cut 6. And what I did was I took the largest and the second largest and I taped them together. I did a purple one and I did 6 white ones. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue each one of these down, and what it's going to do is form the barrier around the outside edge to keep all our sequins in place. You can use the foam strips if you want to. I find this is kind of a fun way, and it uses up a whole bunch of scrap paper that I have in my scrap bin. So dual purpose. I throw out my scrap bin every January 1st, so I'm trying to use up as much as possible before that happens. And you'll notice that I also use my craft stack to line these up. Okay, I'm using the right hand side as a kind of a ledge to get everything in there and straight. And just work your way through adding all 6 of the layers, and you're going to end up with a really pretty design. The outside edge of the large die has kind of a stitched design built into it, and then the scallops are on the inside, and this really shows up nicely with all this layering and doing the shaker card, because you've got the the clear element, and then you're able to see down into it. So it's really pretty. So this is a little time consuming. You're not going to want to make these for everybody, just your very special friends. Okay, I have all 6 layers down, and we are going to start adding the sequins. I am again going to use my craft stack, because if I spill the sequins, it's going to keep it all contained for me. I'm using a couple of new ones from Simon Says Stamps called Blue Frost and Moonlit Snow. They came out with the DieCember release. I'm also adding a little bit of the Rainbow Party, because it is my favorite, and it adds a little bit of pinks and greens to it, which is kind of pretty. And it's got a bunch of different sizes of sequins, so it just adds a little bit of interest. Okay, so you want to dump all those in, get them all spread around, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put a top layer on this. And what I've done is I've taken first of all, you're going to put some glue around the outside edge, and then I took a piece of clear acrylic and I cut it out with the largest outside die, the same one that I used for the white. Only the largest one though, okay? And you'll see that I still have it attached here. I left all the tape and everything on it so that I wouldn't lose it on my work table. Okay, so peel it away from the die and then lay it over top of that stack that you have. And make sure that you press firmly, make sure that the glue is securing it all the way around. Okay, we don't need the stack anymore, and it's going to allow me to get this nice and flat, and press it down, hold on to it for a few minutes until that glue is completely dry. Okay, and then we're going to add our final layer, and this is the purple one. And again, I am using the craft glue, zipping around, and that's going to be the final layer for the tag. You got to be careful here that you don't get glue all over your acrylic. I use overhead projector plastic. I get a big box of it at Staples. It's quite inexpensive, and it's nice and thick, and it's super for these kind of projects. Okay, and you're going to hold that down. Once all that glue is dry, we are going to use one of the little tabs, and there's 2 to choose from. One has a square top, one has a round top. I'm using the square one because I have a square top on my tag. And I'm going to glue this right to the front. Make sure you add some glue that it covers the purple as well as your acrylic. And for our final embellishment, we are going to pop our little snowman on here. I made another one. So there's 1, 2, 3, 5 in total to make the 3 tags today. And I'm going to center him. And I did him in greens and blues because those were the colors of the sequins that I used inside there. Isn't he cute? Okay, let's add some sentiments. I'm using the Tree Plate Greetings and Dies. I think this came out last month, and there is a little stamp set and matching dies. There are a couple that do not have dies, and they are the straight line ones that you can just cut out with your paper trimmer. Okay, and I have white heat embossed them onto a piece of black and cut them out. And I did it in black because I really wanted them to stand out, and we're using quite bright colors on these, so I thought they would fit in quite nicely. And so I did go back and add some snowflakes to the back of my tags and left room at the bottom for the to and from. And unfortunately, I can't find that stamp at the moment, so I'll add those later. So we're just going to kind of check this out and see where we would like all these tags to go, audition them a little bit before you glue them down. So I have, again, cut in half some foam squares, and I've attached them to the back of the sentiments so that they're popped up a little bit so they're the same height as the little snowman. So I'm adding them to the very bottom to the first and third tag. For the second one, I've decided that I'm going to angle it a little bit across that bottom guy's tummy, just over top of his snowflake, just to add a little bit of interest, because everything's kind of ski-whiff on that tag anyway, so it kind of matches. There we go. Aren't they cute? Okay, so I decided let's add some embellishments. So I have got the Prism Positively Dazzling Gems from Simon Says Stamps. These come in a bunch of different colors. And I've decided to add a small silver one to the center of each of the snowflakes on his tummy. Don't they kind of remind you of the little Care Bears that had all the different colors? I like how bright and happy they are. Okay, time to add some string. You have a choice. You could use some ribbon, you could use some gold cord. I opted for some black and white twisted twine because I wanted the black at the top and at the bottom to even out my elements, my color elements. So here's the cute little shaker card. Here's our basic card number 1, or tag number 1, the super quick and easy guy. Here's the stepped up version with all 3 of the little guys on them. Aren't they cute? And snowflakes on the back of each one. I love how these turned out. Everything I've used today is listed underneath this video. There's also a link over to my blog for further details. And thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up and sharing this video with your friends.